Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome everyone to the CBH UK Hajj 2024 webinar. Just waiting on a few more people and we'll make a start. Just a few housekeeping just before we start. Could somebody just confirm you can hear me and see me? We had some technical issues earlier. Got some raised hands. I'm just going to allow, is it Ghazala? Do you want to talk? You've got your raised hand there. Assalamu alaikum, Ghazala.
Wa alaikum assalam.
You've got your hand raised.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Right. I've got a question. I've managed to register.
Yeah, we're gonna cover that later.
Okay, that's all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. If there's any questions at this stage, just put it in the Q&A in the chat, and we'll get through that, inshallah. Okay, so I just want to quickly welcome everybody to the webinar. It's very important that we held this as soon as possible, knowing the facts and knowing the information that we have now, so that we can equip you, prepare you, train you to what's about to happen in terms of your Hajj registrations, and moving forward, how quickly will the packages be released, and so on and so forth. My name is Rashid. I'm the CEO of CBH UK, Council of British Hajjis. Alhamdulillah, we've been in this field since 2006 and been on the ground last year during Hajj as well to test the system and trying to break the system, but work with Nusuk to try and see how we can really improve that. And we've seen massive improvements already. You won't have, especially if you're first timers, but we've been following progress. And what I want to do this evening is to cover the kind of questions that people have been asking, give you some assurances on the back of that, alleviate some of the anxieties that you've got behind the preparation for Hajj, but also start to prepare you for your next steps as well. We're aware that many of you have managed to register on Nusuk, have had their profile verified, but equally there's a large number of Hujjaj or aspiring Hujjaj that haven't even registered or considering registering. If you looked at the old system and how people used to go for Hajj, myself included, when I went first time in 2005, it wasn't until after Ramadan or during Ramadan that you really tend to start thinking about whether you want to go and perform Hajj and start looking at packages and suppliers and so on and so forth. The whole system has now changed, and we're working almost 6 months in advance of Hajj to prepare you, get you ready as well. So without further ado, I just want to bring to the fold Mr. Sohail Hakim. Sohail, if you want to just unmute and show us the
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Rashid, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but we can't see you.
Oh, you want to see me? No problem. Give me 1 second.
Slightly.
Give me 1 second. There we go. Can you see me now?
Hi, Sohail. Sohail has been working around helping and assisting pilgrims get over the registration process, but he's quite active in the community as well. So you see his name pop up in various social media, various WhatsApp, Telegram groups. This is a man, Sohail, that everybody talks about. Alhamdulillah, he's a fellow Boltonian, but he's also a fellow Hajj guide like myself, who is passionate about serving the Hujjaj. And we only do it for one reason only, and to serve Allah's guests. Sohail, do you want to say a few words before I start sharing my screen?
Inshallah, nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil kareem, amma ba'd, fa'a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem, bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters, and everybody joining in this evening. Alhamdulillah, it's a blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He has given us the opportunity and the ability to make niyyah, to take upon this blessed journey, a spiritual and a magical journey, which is the fifth pillar of Islam, inshallah. So of all the things that we've done in life and we do and what we aspire to, you know, prayer salas, you know, sound, fasting, zakat, our faith. The one that usually remains is Hajj, and inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us all the ability to embark upon this journey. So inshallah, first and foremost, our du'as are with all of you, and we make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He makes our journey easy, opens the doors for us, and takes away and alleviates our anxieties, our concerns, our worries, everything that we're seeing in the various support channels around what your mindset is, how you're feeling with regards to the whole process. Alhamdulillah, we've done a lot of the worrying, a lot of the stressful work has been done in the past over the last 2 years. Alhamdulillah, the journey now in terms of the logistics, the practicality, the way everything operates is getting a lot easier than what it was. Take it from me, it might sound as if yes, Sohail, you would say that, but no, there were a lot more challenging times before. It's a lot easier for the Hujjaj now if we adhere to the systems and the protocols that have been implemented by the kingdom and by the Ministry of Hajj. I know a lot of us are not very tech savvy. A lot of us are not familiar with digital pathways. But I'll tell you what, Hajj, it actually molds an individual. You learn a lot about yourself. You learn a lot about the process. You learn a lot about different skills and different little tricks that you didn't know you could possibly have, and you'll be embarking upon those. For example, scanning your passport, taking pictures of your passport, and applying to different bank accounts online. You know, the usual things that you've been seeing, linking profiles, all the digital aspect of the journey. You're becoming familiar with it. And we understand it's very, very difficult if you're not very familiar with it, or you've not used it before, but it's something that everybody generally gets used to. And once everything's been done, or when the packages have been selected, once you've got all your paperwork, after that, everything pretty much is as it traditionally was. You'll go to Saudi Arabia, you'll go to Makkah, Medina, you'll embark upon all your rituals traditionally as what we've done. But initially, it's this phase, this preparation, this booking, and trying to get to terms with the terminology and the dynamics of the way things work. It's going to require a lot of patience, and we all know that traditionally, if you were to read the books and if you were to go back and speak to our elders, Hajj was never plain sailing. It never came without its challenges. Challenges of the past were a bit different to the challenges of today. Traditionally, our elders and our ancestors, they took weeks and months to get to where they wanted to get to. But now we've got Hajj at our fingertips. But even still, there's always tests, there's always hurdles, and there's always challenges that we have to overcome. But that's all part and parcel. That's all part of the journey as well. So it's very, very important to remain composed. It's very, very important to gather ourselves and keep everything together. And inshallah, it does fall into place. It's going to be a little bit more tricky, a little bit more challenging than some more than others. We've seen it over and over again. I could sit here all night and tell you stories of difficulties, challenges, but at the same time, excitement, elation. Ultimately, once the journey has completed and when everything is said and done, you'll look back on all of this and say to yourself, do you know what? Every single second of the blood and sweat, all the worry and concern, all those sleepless nights, all that anxiety, it will be worth it, because the scale will weigh so heavy on the other side of your sense of jubilation, that you'll replace all of that for what you're going to get at the other side. So let's all just be very patient, very composed, and continue trying to gather all the information, come to terms with the different terminology, the different aspects of the journey, step by step, and inshallah, it will all come together. And literally, it is a timeline. It is a timeline from the point where you apply for verification, for you to show your interest in Hajj, the timeline from where the packages have been launched to the prices being released and then bookings opening. It all comes in phases. And many of you have been asking this question, that when will the packages be released? Let me tell you, this time last year, in 2023, in January, only in January did the portal actually open, or it was introduced. It was new. Nusuk was new last year in 2023. And in terms of Hajj, so Hajj Nusuk, prior to that, the predecessor was Mutawif. It was then replaced by Nusuk, which is the current platform, and it was new last January. So if you think about it, we actually started applications in November and December. So we've got plenty of headway and plenty of time, because whilst we're doing what we're doing right now, there's a lot of work going on in the background in terms of packages. 90% of the packages are all ready. Everything's pretty much in place. It's just, crossing the T's and dotting the I's. That's literally all it's about at the moment. And the final flight arrangements and the contracts, all of this, the whole putting a package together requires a lot of different authorities to come together, a lot of different bodies to come together. So all of that is being brought together in the background whilst all the verification goes through. If people's or Hujjaj program verifications have not gone through, there's no point going forward and starting selecting packages. It doesn't work like that. It has to go in order. But the point I'm making is we've got a lot more time and a lot more room for maneuver compared to what we had last year and the time before. Again, just to put things into perspective, in 2022, the portal for Hajj opened 3 weeks before Hajj. I'll give you a little bit more than I'll give you 4 weeks before Hajj is when the portal opened in 2022. Imagine that, verifying yourself, getting confirmations, then looking at the packages, understanding the packages, and then at the same time trying to understand the process and the fiqh and the principles of Hajj. So if I was to just bring all that together, we have got plenty of time. It's just, it requires us to be very, very patient. I know there's a lot of you been waiting pre-COVID for Hajj, and a lot of you have been waiting for a long time to embark on this journey, but that's all part of your journey. Your Hajj was written like this, just like the Hajj was written for so many of our ancestors, all our families and predecessors, the way they were lined to go perform Hajj. I mean, I've been performing Hajj, alhamdulillah, for 15 years, and every single journey has been unique. Every single journey has been different. Every single journey has had its challenges, but at the same time, the blessings at the end of it, I would not replace that for anything else. Honestly, it's absolutely magical. So I can give you so many examples and so many different reviews coming from individuals who we've managed to support over the years and over the last 2 years, certainly. And they've said, it's definitely was worth it. I know what we went through, but it's all forgotten now. And alhamdulillah, we've performed our Hajj and we've fulfilled our duty to perform Hajj for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we know exactly what we're going for is the point. What you're going through is the point I'm trying to make. And there will be a lot of patience. There will be a lot of obstacles and a lot of hurdles to overcome. But it's not something that we're unfamiliar with. It's not something that's been there, not been there before. So it does require everybody to really, really, keep focused. And my usual slogans that I always use, tawakkul, tawajjuh, and it's not over until it's over. And I absolutely, stick by those words, inshallah. So I think Rashid will probably be ready now to start the presentation. So inshallah, I'll go on mute for the time being, and inshallah, I will pop in from time to time, and when required, any questions, inshallah, to answer and try and help you in the best way as I can, inshallah. Jazakumullah, Rashid.
Thank you, Sohail, for them inspiring words. And it is a test and a journey that you individually will experience, and everyone's journey will be different, and you will be tested. And we're here to guide you and support you in the best way possible. But understand this, that regardless of what happens between now and you going to Hajj, Hajj is only by divine invitation, only by the invitation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So as much as we try, we may be disappointed, things might not go our way. Always, as Sohail mentioned, have that belief, that tawakkul in Allah Almighty, that He will call you when the time is right. If it's not this year, no problem, we tried, and maybe there's ajr and there's care behind that as well. So without further ado, I've got some issues with my video, so you won't be seeing my pretty face this evening, but I'm sure you can see the screen. Can you see the screen, Sohail?
Yep, it's
Perfect.
absolutely fine.
Okay, so I'm just going to go through the screen. Just before we start, there is a little disclaimer that I want everybody to read and understand, that while every effort's being made to support you, there is no liability on CBH UK as a charity or individuals. We are doing this as fi sabilillah, but ultimately, do your own research, do your own due diligence as well. We've been operating since 2006. Alhamdulillah, we've never had issues, but we work in an environment where people will use words said for whatever reason, and we want to make sure that we do this and this work continues for many, many people to benefit for years to come as well, inshallah. So the agenda for this evening, I'm going to cover very quickly the Hajj 2024 setup, the health regulations, Hajj Nusuk registrations, eWallets, packages, and Q&A. In many cases, we may be just speeding up certain aspects in order that we can cover a lot of this in the Q&A. We've had a lot of people email and send us messages, and we can see a lot of chat activity as well. So we want to cover that as best as possible. So the Saudi Ministry of Health has confirmed that for those pilgrims that are entering or arriving for Hajj, the mandatory requirement for those coming from the United Kingdom is meningitis ACWY. And it's recommended that you have the COVID-19, and if you have certain chronic health conditions, chronic cardiac conditions, pregnant women, etc., then take the seasonal influenza or the flu jab. Pilgrims from other countries will need other additional immunizations, and the best place to check that is this link here. Now, I'm going to share further links and QR codes later on in the presentation so that you can download and join our various different support channels and resources as well. So you don't need to quickly jot this down, but just make a note that there are other health conditions, or if you suffer from any health conditions, best thing is go and see your GP before you travel. Now's the best time. Don't leave it till last minute, because as you know, it's we find difficulty getting GP appointments, and if you do need immunization, you need to book that with your travel clinic. So Hajj 2024, where are we? So the official website is the hajj.nusuk.sa. That's the only website that you should be going to register to book for Hajj 2024. And that's been made open to 126 countries, including the UK. Last year, that was 58. You can look at the Nusuk website for further details of other countries that are being serviced. Last year, there was 8 service providers working to serve British Hajj. This year, we have 10 service providers licensed by the Ministry of Hajj. And the quota stays the same as 2023. So that's 1 pilgrim per 1,000 Muslim in that country. So the UK is expected to have 3,600 pilgrims. Previously, that number was very high. It was 25,000. And when that number was reduced post-COVID, we have in every occasion and made the recommendation that the numbers should go back up. And the Ministry of Hajj themselves are trying their level best to cater for the demand in Hajj and Umrah pilgrims worldwide. And just as the UK Muslim population has risen in the last 10 years, 15 years, so has global Muslim populations, and they have to be fair across the board. So what they did was implement this rule 1 per 1,000, which has been in place for those countries in the OIC, for Indonesia, Malaysia, India, Pakistan, etc., so that the quota is as fair as possible right across the world. In essence, it's equal opportunities for all pilgrims. However, having said that, last year we did get an increase in the numbers, just over 5,000, and who knows, inshallah, maybe we get some more this year as well. And we won't stop asking the ministry to try and alleviate some more quota for the British Hajj, and it will be based on supply and demand as well. This year, the packages have been standardized, so you'll have your shifting, non-shifting, and we'll cover that later on. And they'll be into 3 different categories: standard, premium, luxury. Last year, there was over 1,100 different packages, and you couldn't really compare which package fell into which category. So this year, the ministry have taken that on board, the team at Nusuk have taken on board the recommendations and standardized it so that when you compare packages when they are released, it's easy to do so for you. And all of the packages will be available to the 126 countries that are being serviced under Nusuk Hajj. It's an all-inclusive package. So from the point you pay for the package, you've got your airfare, hotel accommodation, services in Mina, Mashayr, food, etc. has been covered, including your visa and so on and so forth. There will be no Mashayr package. And again, we'll cover these technical terms later on in the presentation. But in essence, you can't just book your own flight and assume you're going to get a visa, or you can't book your flights and then hotels and etc. and think you can just go to Hajj. Hajj is very much regulated. It's a mass movement of pilgrims and people from all around the world, 2 million plus, and they need to be coordinated in an efficient manner. There are a variety of flight options, so although your packages will have flights attached to them, you may have an option to actually change that to the times or the dates that you want to fly out from. However, exercise caution here. Why? Because you won't be traveling as part of a group. You won't be traveling as part of a guided setup. So you'll be left to your own devices. So if you booked it, for example, a 14-day package and decided, I can't go for the first 3 days, and expect you're going to get a refund, you won't, because you subscribe to the package. Yes, they'll try and accommodate the flights, but my advice is that whatever the flight pattern is or the flight booking as part of the package, stick to that as much as you can. You're far better traveling as a group than going individually. And this year we've seen the new feature for the eWallet, as I'm sure many of the registered users have also already, who are verified users have already activated as well, which we'll cover later on. So very quickly, as I'm aware that many of you have registered and already been verified and activated your eWallets, there's equally a large number of pilgrims who are contacting us who have not yet registered. Are you too late? No, you're not. It's not over till it's over. Isn't that right, Sohail?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. So there's, if you've made the intention or you're thinking about and you're not sure whether you should or shouldn't, just go for it. Bismillah, apply for register on Nusuk, and it's very simple. 10 easy steps, and many of these are done in batches. So when you create an account, you'll actually complete steps 1, 2, and 3 in one go. Once your profile is verified at stage 4, 5, 6, and 7 are automatically done. So many of you are now on phase 7. I submitted my Nusuk application back end of November, early December, and my profile was only verified just last week. And then we found people who just literally early this week registered on Nusuk, had their profile verified within 6 hours. Sohail had somebody who had verified it within 12 hours. So they really are speeding things up. And Nusuk team at the back end are conscious that people need to be verified before the packages are released. And the $1 million question or £1 million question is, when are packages being released? Well, it's imminent. And what does that mean? It could be in a week, 2 weeks. We need to be prepared. So we've got a bit of time. Do as much as you can to try and get your Nusuk profile verified as soon as possible. Just some tips when you come to registration. On your Nusuk profile, again, go to the official website, which is hajj.nusuk.sa. There's also a detailed how-to guide on our website. And again, I'll share that detail with you. You can go to cbhuk.org. There's a link on the main page there as well. But make sure your details match what's on your passport. They're using a system called OCR, to optical character recognition. So when you upload your documents for verification, it automatically inserts the data into the form for you. It's at that stage, before you send it off for verification, that you can go in and edit it. So if it's not picking up certain middle names, or it's putting in wrong details for your place of birth, etc. You have that point before you send your application for verification that you can actually edit it as well. But if you have sent it for verification, as I did, and it missed out my middle name, you can go back into your Nusuk profile, edit, and resend it back to verification. And within a day or two, or even less, in a matter of hours, it could be verified and you're back again. Important advice for families: make sure that you are creating a family profile, i.e. you have one profile on Nusuk and you're adding family members on, and not individually creating profiles. If you've been in a case where you've done that and now wanting to add family members in, then what you need to do is delete everybody else out, or individual accounts need to be deleted. Keep a master profile on Nusuk, and then add family members again. You'll have to go through the whole rigmarole of getting verified again if you've already been verified, but you can then be grouped as a family. Why is it so important? Well, Sohail will cover that when it comes to the packages later. And a final tip, what the Nusuk profile or Nusuk system has done this year is that they've incorporated the MOFA, or the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, or the visa application process into your Nusuk registration. Not many of you would have known that, but when it asks you about what flights or when are you going to be arriving, at the moment, we don't know, because we've not picked the package. What you can do is just put in SV124, as those who are from the north or from Manchester, they'll know that's the Saudi Manchester flight, or any other flight, or you can put in TBC. They're aware that that's a particular area where you need to, well, we don't know, but it will give you enough information to complete the application as quickly as possible. So that's the registration covered. I just need to quickly welcome to the webinar Mr. Abdullah Jadkarim. He's the Executive Director for Nusuk. So thank you, Abdullah, for joining the webinar. He's listening in. He's also there to look at the questions that are coming in. But we've been working with Abdullah as early as January 23. And believe you me, this individual, although he may not appreciate this, but I'm going to say this on record, that he deserves the credit for where we are now, because he has worked really hard to get Nusuk to a stage where it's easy for people to register, but also the whole experience for going to Hajj easy for future generations as well. And they're improving, they're listening. We're feeding information back to them so they improve the process. And we're constantly giving them feedback as well to improve certain aspects. They're listening to us, we're feeding information back, and they want to make sure that you get the best possible experience as well. So I'm going to carry on with the presentation and hand it over to Sohail to cover the e-wallets and packages. Over to you, Sohail.
Inshallah. So the e-wallet, alhamdulillah, for me, when I first saw the e-wallet, when it was introduced to us, I actually thought it was a brilliant idea. Just to give you a background, the problem we had in 2022 and the problem we had in 2023 was at the point. So first of all, 2022, I mean, a lot of you might be asking, what's the need for e-wallet, or why have we got it? Why can't we just pay for our packages? Why can't we just do an online transaction? The reason for that is in 2022, with the old Mutawif system, there was a merchant gateway breakdown, basically, where every single bank in the UK blacklisted the merchant bank on the other side, simply because there were so many transactions, there was so much traffic, so many transactions. All of a sudden, imagine portals opening and everybody selecting their packages and everybody trying to pay for a package at the same time. It could be, sometimes it could be seen as a hack, sometimes it could be seen as a fraudulent transaction, sometimes it could be seen as something completely untoward. So for that reason, a lot of payments were cancelled and blocked, and it caused absolute chaos. So that's a story in itself. And then 2023, alhamdulillah, it was a little bit more refined, where the payments were a little bit more smoother than 2023. But the problem was, again, a lot of the banking companies were declining transactions, and there was only like a half an hour window that was given on debit and credit cards for payment, and if the payment wasn't made in that time, the transaction was cancelled and you lost the package, and that package could have easily gone to somebody else. You could have easily lost that package, and that was a heartbreaking situation for so many Hujjaj. So that was something that needed to be addressed and overhauled. And then obviously the other transaction platform route was bank transfers. Now, again, bank transfers was very new to a lot of people. When you're doing something international, then you need an IBAN and a SWIFT code, as they call it. Now, a lot of Hujjaj weren't familiar with that, and they didn't really know where to go. And a lot of the banks weren't familiar with that individual making those kind of transactions. Imagine a family of 5 or a family of 6 paying £10,000. Suddenly you go into the bank and say, I want to transfer £60,000. All sorts of questions are going to get asked simply because the average individual wouldn't make that kind of a transaction. So that caused, that opened all manner of problems and kind of worms for a lot of people. And then there was a lot of the Hujjaj didn't really understand that when you're transferring funds from one country to another, especially in an overseas bank, then there's charges as well. So a lot of the Hujjaj didn't know that they had to take upon the charges. So they were just transferring, for example, £50,000, and this is very, very important point here. Imagine transferring £50,000, which is short of 30, I think it was 60 riyals, so it's 60 riyals short of what they need to be, and for that reason, their packages were cancelled simply because the payment didn't reach. The problem was the Hujjaj didn't know that they had to pay for the fees for the money to be transferred. And again, this one was a little bit more upsetting than the card payment. So because there was so many Hujjaj who lost their packages. Because one, there's a surge in demand. There is only so many places available, and packages all been released, and everybody's been verified. So everybody's trying to get onto the same package. So you could understand the pandemonium and the chaos that can cause, and that's exactly what happened last year. So Alhamdulillah, going back to e-wallet, I think it's a brilliant idea if it works, but inshallah it will work. I'm very confident that it'll work, because so far it's been good. Obviously, just like yourselves, we've done trial payments as well. We've done bank transfer payments. We've also done card payments, credit card and debit card payments. One point to make, it says credit card on the portal Nusuk. Don't worry about it. That's just a loose term. It actually means a card payment, okay? So it doesn't matter whether it's credit or debit. The only difference is that the charges will be varied, and your banking coverage will be a little bit different between debit and credit card. So the conditions are different between those, and terms are different. So that's between you and your bank, that is. And then obviously the other form of payment is the bank transfer. Again, we can see straight away that a lot of you are a bit overwhelmed with the bank transfer route simply because you've not done it, and that's understandable if you're not used to doing international bank transfers. So you're going to be get a bit anxious and worried about that. So it doesn't really matter. Card payments are fine. What card payments to use? This is down to you. Every single bank will have a different relationship with their customer, and every bank account will have different kind of privileges with their bank account holder. So that's between you and your banks. One thing I can say, what we have seen this year as well as last year, was that some cards, a lot of the bricks and mortar banks, I like to call them, you know, your NatWest and your Barclays and your HSBCs, they tend not to give very favorable transaction rates. So for example, at the moment, an average for Saudi Arabia is 4.7. So some are giving 4.5, 4.4. So that is quite a significant variation if you're going to be paying a large amount. So then you've got the fintech banks, the online banks, or the competitor banks, as we call them as well. Those are a lot more favorable. You might think, but Sohail, I've not actually used Monzo before. It takes 5 minutes to get an application in Monzo. So same for Starling, same for Revolut as well. Those are the main ones. Last year there was Chase as well, although we had a few problems with Chase, but it was fine in the end. So those are the ones that you can apply an account for. All you do is move your money from your bank into Monzo, and then you could just make a card payment. And you could pay for Monzo, you could make a payment up to £10,000, and for Starling, I think it's I think Starling is £10,000. Don't quote me on that, but it's between 10,000 and unlimited. Revolut certainly is unlimited. So you've got plenty of options. Putting that aside, coming back to the bank transfer route, last year we used XC quite a lot, and that was quite effective and efficient. We could also use USI this year as well, so that's another option for you as well. So there are different options. You'll need to explore them. It will be different and individual for every single person. So things like that, you can't just compare. So in terms of eWallet, the main point I need to make now, you've got to make sure that you've got adequate funds in your account prior to the packages, prior to the bookings opening. So if you think about the stages, first you'll have the package release. So you'll have an idea of what the packages are. So you'll be going through all the packages. After that, you'll have the prices coming out. Now, you might get the packages and the prices coming together, but it doesn't really matter. There'll still be plenty of time for you to know what you want, choose what you want, look at the budget and top up your eWallet, but don't delay it because it will get frantic. I'm trying to say to you is compare last year's prices, have a variance of around 5-10%, make sure at least that much money is in your accounts for the number of people traveling in that profile, in that family. And when it comes to the time, you think, oh, okay, my package is about £5,000 more than what I thought it was, but I'm happy. Then transfer that amount so you'll be up to where you need to be. Don't fall short at the last minute. Otherwise, there's no guarantee that the package will still be there. It might be gone because there'll be a lot of Hujjaj looking for the same packages. So I know it slides. We've only got a small window here to chat about these things, but just as an overview of the payment and the e-wallet, these are very pertinent and salient points that you need to pay attention to, inshallah. Jazakumullah, Rashid.
Great, thank you for that. And moving on now, in terms of the packages, there will be all-inclusive packages. So that includes flights, accommodation, transportation, the visa, as I mentioned earlier, catering, tour guides, and the ability to validate your documents as well. So it's an all-inclusive package. And as I mentioned earlier, there's not going to be any mashair, and that is where you spend the 5 days of Hajj. Previously, some countries and some packages last year, there were just mashair packages, which are often cheaper. However, due to demand and what was required of British pilgrims, the majority of the packages, in fact, all packages will be all-inclusive there. Can you carry on, Sohail? The categories and what they mean?
Yeah, so in terms of categories, you've got luxury, premium, and standard. If I'm completely honest with you, from previous observations, the luxury and premium, they're pretty much in the ballpark. The only variance will be is the actual location of the hotel. So just to give you an example, if there's going to be various providers, and those providers will have different hotels. So for example, if I was to give you an example, a highlight one from last year, so you had Al Raji, which was one of the providers last year. So their hotels were in the Abraj Al Bayt complex, so the Swiss hotel, and that was their premium package. And then if I was to then compare that to, for example, if you were to take Diyuf Al Bayt, all of their hotels were on Jabal Umar, which is all the new hotels, the Hilton Convention, Conrad, Hilton Suites, and Doubletree. So most of the Diyuf Al Bayt Hujjaj were housed in those hotels. So all of those hotels overlapped between the luxury and the premium. And then you had the standards in there as well. That's where Azizia and the other location zones came into it as well. So that made up standards. So there will be an overlap between them, as well as the categories that you've got, the luxury, premium, standard. It's also, you've got to bear in mind the inclusions in there as well. So most of them I had half board, for example. And then within that, you've got to consider whether it's shifting or non-shifting. So you had premium shifting and non-shifting as well. But you've got to understand the luxury and the premium packages will be shorter packages, simply because you've got to balance what the cost of the package is and the value of the package is versus what the exclusivity of the hotel is, for example, as well.
Sorry. when we talk about luxury, you've got to also bear in mind that location is irrelevant. For example, the Holiday Inn in Azizia is a 5-star hotel and will fall under the category of luxury as well. So what would advise you?
So that's where I said that you're looking at what the privileges are in that as well. So I'll give you another example. Another, one of the exclusive packages was actually non-shifting in Azizia as well. So the accommodation there was very, very good. So when the packages are released, look at them carefully and look at what the inclusions are in there as well and what you're getting as part of that package. That's very, very important. And again, without the package being released and without having a look at that and comparing, there's no point asking what's what, or at least even questioning how far each package goes in terms of what's included. What you can do is compare last year's packages, and that'll give you at least a ballpark and give you a fair idea. Although the terminology's varied a little bit this year, it will certainly give you an idea of what you're looking at when you're comparing each category in there. Sorry, Rashid, go on, carry on.
There's a lot of people asking about shifting and non-shifting.
Yeah.
I mentioned it very quickly, but in essence, we've got a map here. I don't know if the screen's clearer on your end, but you can see at a glance that in the middle section, you've got Masjid al-Haram, the Kaaba, Mecca, and then you've got Azizia. So it may look as though it's still neighboring neighborhood, which it is, but it's almost 10 kilometers away, and it's, it's 3-hour walk. So this is where the shifting, non-shifting will make a difference to some. Some may prefer the shifting option, others may prefer the non-shifting. And each has pros and cons as well.
Yeah. So if we go on to the next slide, Rashid. Yeah.
What you can do is if you go on the Nusuk website and in your profile, you can actually interrogate the different sections as well. And we managed to get a screen grab there as well of what's included, what's not. Okay. And just moving forward, some of the factors that could differentiate the prices is the location of where these hotels and accommodation is. So you've got a central zone here, the almost immediate A zone, which is where Masjid al-Haram, the clock towers, Jabal Omar, so on and so forth. And then you've got B, which is Ibrahim Khalil Street. And then you've got Ajyad, all the other neighboring roads and leading up to Masjid al-Haram. Zone C, which is around Azizia, Shisha, and then going to D, which is more closer to the tents, which is Mashair, and where the bulk of the Hajj rituals take place. So all of this will start to make a difference to the price. And what we don't want to do this evening is complicate and confuse you, but we'll wait until the packages are released and then follow it up with the further information closer to the time as well. But if there's any immediate questions, do write it in chat and we'll cover that towards the end. We've covered the different stars rating. What about package duration, Sohail?
So the package duration, the minimum will be 10 days. Again, that's for operational reasons. It doesn't work, a Hajj package, if it's less than 10 days. So it's 10 days as the minimum. And it'll go up to 15 and then 17, up to 19 to 21. Maximum majority of the package will be 21. There might be the odd 25 as well, but the mainstay is 21 days and anything in between 10 and 21.
Perfect. And again, it's very difficult for us to comment on package type at this stage, just because they're not released, but the service providers.
Again, just to give you an example as well, Rashid, last year, one of the providers alone had 36 packages, different versions of it. And then you've got 8 other providers as well with their packages as well. So it does get very overwhelming. So you've got quite a lot of resources this year to at least give you an idea and set you up in a way that, okay, I'm looking at something like this, and then you can make minor adjustments when the packages are released. So you've got enough to get you started and keep you going until the packages are released for sure. That there's enough resource there, inshallah.
Inshallah. And these are the 10 providers that are licensed on Nusuk. And you can see the stars there that are showing new. In fact, a few of them were actually licensed last year, but didn't operate or didn't serve the Direct Hajj initiative of Hajj B2C. But in essence, they will be operating in Hajj this year. That's Rifad, Ithra, and Rawaf Mina. Whereas the others, you've got Al-Bayt Guests, Al-Raji, Abdul Latif Jamil, MCDC, Do Hospitality, Mawasim, Sila, and Burj International were all there last year, serving the Hujjaj in the 58 countries, now the 126. And they'll be serving them in some way, shape, way, or form.
Also, something to add, Rashid, that don't be surprised come after Ramzan or towards Hajj if you only see 2 or 3 or maybe 4 of those providers, because a lot of the demand will be fulfilled by then. So I'm just going off again what it was last year. So don't put your eggs in one basket. Have a pool there. If you, for example, decided I want to go for that provider, then stick to it. That's fine. But also bear in mind, okay, in case I don't get this, is there an alternative as well? So at least then you won't be left disappointed and you're not, again, frantically running about at the last moment trying to look for a provider and look for a package. So again, without having any bias towards any particular provider, alhamdulillah, they're all very experienced providers. Do keep an open mind that there will be variances there and differences there as well.
Perfect. And just moving on to the service providers, the next big step is obviously the Hajj guides, who will play a pivotal role in not only when you're out there, but before you even book a package, which is what we're doing now, guiding you through the steps of booking the packages, but then also supporting you, mentoring you, training you, and supporting your individual needs as individuals, as families, to make sure that you have the resources and the understanding that you need to go for Hajj as well. And we, straight after Ramadan, will be hosting a series of Hajj seminars and training programs right across the UK. And if you signed up, you'll get the invitation. If not, you can go on our website and always look at what's happening with CBH UK and the events that we'll be hosting. But I strongly recommend that you start to learn, read as much as you can to familiarize yourself with the rituals and what is needed to become a Haji, to perform Hajj. This is a once in a lifetime. You want to make sure that you're prepared. We had a meeting in Parliament a few years back, and during that debrief, a sister mentioned how ill-prepared she was. And when asked what she had been doing to prepare for Hajj, she mentioned that she had been preparing for 2 years and felt that she hadn't done enough. So that should be enough for us all to reflect, me included, how much preparation do we do for this journey of a lifetime. So I don't want to delve too much, but it starts from our intention. Why are we going for Hajj? Is it for the title? Is it for whatever reason? Let it be that we are going for the pleasure of Allah to fulfill a fundamental pillar of our faith before anything else. So coming back to the Hajj guides, this year, each Hajj guide will have to apply on Nusuk. So within your profile, if you wanted to become a Hajj guide or you wanted to participate, you can actually go in and apply to become a Hajj guide once your profile is verified. But you will have to pass a competency test. And that competency test will look at your previous experience on what you've done to actually work in Hajj, provide testimonials, etc. And only then will you be considered to become a Hajj guide. And only then will your profile then be put forward to the Hajj service providers, who will then select you after the packages are sold. So last year, a Hajj guide was assigned to a package and it went onto sale on Nusuk, and you knew exactly who you were going with. So if somebody wanted to come with me, for example, I wouldn't necessarily know which package I'm attached to until after all the sales are done with the service provider, etc. And then they allocated the particular group. However, if you are proactive and you're working and we know who you are and you're in dialogue with the different Hajj guides, you'll know that they're assigned to or they're working in affiliation with a particular service provider. Then you know that you're going to be booking that particular package to be in a chance to be going to Hajj with that particular person, that particular guy, that particular sheikh, and so on and so forth. But all of this will become more evident as the stages progress. What we don't want to do is give you too much information this evening that you go into panic or a frenzy. Our job is to make it easy, dumb it down as much as possible so that you can just walk through these phases of registering and getting past these little hurdles. Just some inspiration for you to be inspired. I was actually, I should have said surprised, but not too surprised. If you go on Nusuk, on their main Nusuk Hajj page, you'll see a 7-minute video, and that captured the essence of Hajj from last year. And lo and behold, there's a short interview of me in that video talking about my experience as a Hajj guide last year. And we also had on the ground last year, ITV, Shihab Khan, who's the political reporter, if you watch him on the ITN news, he covered the Hajj as well, and they covered an aspect of us guiding and working in Hajj as well. So, but it's really good to really start to feel what Hajj was like last year. And every time I watch it, I get the goosebumps. So I'm sure you get a really nice feeling of the preparation for Hajj, inshallah. Over the last few days, and in fact, it's not uncommon, but we've seen a series of WhatsApp messages and of people asking us to verify whether this particular agent or this particular package that is being offered outside of Nusuk is okay, and can we pass on our life savings and start booking our package with somebody out there? The absolute answer is no. You can't go to Hajj outside of the Nusuk system if you are participating within these 126 countries, UK included. If you're a dual national from Pakistan or any other nationality and wanted to go using that other Hajj quota, that's a different topic which we won't be covering this evening, but you could do so at your own risk. However, for those that are in the UK, in Europe, in America, wherever you may be, and you are being offered from unscrupulous agents any packages, report them immediately to your trading standards. They are bypassing the system that's been created. I'll give you an example. We had a message claiming that a particular agent was working with Al-Rajhi, and all of a sudden our WhatsApp messages were going crazy. We verified that with Al-Rajhi back in Saudi Arabia, and they said categorically that they are not affiliated, and they were shocked that this was happening. So please, please, please don't be one of those that falls victim to these kind of scams or these kind of enticements, because you'll just lose your money and your life savings.
Can I just add a little bit to that as well, Rashid, if you don't mind?
Please.
With regards, sorry to interrupt you there, but with regards to Hajj fraud, when it comes to the tail end of package selection, when it comes to where most of the packages are sold out, that's probably when a lot of these unscrupulous agents will start to surface a lot more, because of the vulnerability, because of the desperation of the Hujjaj. In fact, your judgment will be so clouded, in fact, that even the most hideous of excuses to tempt you with a package, you'll fall for it. And I speak from experience, and the most experienced of individuals and in Hajj travel have fallen foul of these individuals. So just really keep your wits about you, be very vigilant, and if you're not sure, just ask. If it's too good to be true, it probably isn't. So that's my advice, inshallah.
One of the reasons why Nusuk Hajj has been set up was to tackle this global problem. It wasn't just UK Hajj fraud and issues around unscrupulous agents and fraud going on. This was a global issue. Pilgrims have been targeted for as many years as I can remember. And we've worked long enough to understand that, they will prey on these vulnerabilities, especially when you're in a heightened state of, of wanting to go to Hajj to perform this once in a lifetime opportunity that, it could all end in tears. So please don't fall victim, report them. You can always verify it through CBH UK and report them to local trading standards, report them to the police so they get a view of what's happening in the community as well. And it astonishes me that we have a system that's been set up to literally deal with the Hajj fraud element that's been evident and prevailing in UK society for the last 15 plus years, that people are still trying to entice people outside of the Nusuk system as well. So please don't fall victim. Moving on, Hajj support. This is a part where I want you to get your cameras ready, your mobile phones ready. We're actually on point with timing, so we'll have enough time to go through Q&A as well. What we've done, we've collated all the Hajj resources and links to various WhatsApp, email, whatever you need on this particular page of ours. So if you scan that, you'll get all your resources in one go. I would also highly recommend that you join our our Telegram broadcast channel. On your left is a green QR code, and on the orange is the chat, so you can share experiences, talk to each other, help each other. There's certain times where we can't answer all your calls. We're all volunteer-based. We're trying our best. We all have day jobs. But in between that, we are passionate about serving Allah's guests. You too can be part of that as well and get the reward for helping the guests of Allah as well. So that's our broadcast and chat. And this is the guidance that we've published for British pilgrims, which will be continuously updated throughout. So keep checking back for that.
You'll have Telegram and WhatsApp groups coming out of your ears by the time you get to Hajj.
Yes. and be careful, don't over rely on these groups in the sense that you're on there 24/7 and it just adds to your anxiety and anguish. Once in a while, once a day maybe, or once a week even. If you're in desperate need and support, we're there. You can DM us. You've got various ways to contact us, email, phone, social media. We'll do our best to help you. Know that the question that you're asking, we've had that asked 100 times before, and that answer is already in the groups. It's already out there. So don't stress. Inshallah, we'll get you through. And as I mentioned right at the beginning, when we started the health part of the topic about health preparation, we're finding it difficult at the moment getting GP appointments. Well, what we're doing this weekend in London, we're working with the Muslim Doctors Association. They're hosting a travel fair, a travel health clinic, a health fair. So if you have trouble getting a GP appointment, pop down to the clinic, pop down for some advice. It's all free health check, free health MOT, getting you ready for Hajj and Umrah. Just scan that code, register, and inshallah we'll see you in person on Saturday in London, inshallah. And we'll try and do more of these as much as we can in the community as well, in the build-up to Hajj. So I think we've covered a lot of it. We'll try and facilitate the Q&A session very quickly. So I've got a few questions come through.
Certainly. Inshallah.
We can just start that, and then we can come back to any other questions as well. Bismillah. Okay. So in terms of registration, we've got a question that's come in asking that they've registered their wife on the profile, and she's also been verified. But when he goes into My Family member or the section in Nusuk, her name doesn't show up automatically. He has to press Manage Family Members, then the name appears. Should he be concerned?
No, absolutely not. As long as they're seeing both names on the profile, that should be perfectly fine. Also, make sure right at the bottom, there will be a link and delink button. If it's linked, if they're linked, then you won't see the delink button highlighted, if that makes sense. And if it's not linked, it'll give you an option to link at the bottom. So there are a few little icons and symbols within Nusuk that a lot of Hujjaj haven't spotted simply because they've not found the need. But if you really explore your profile, go into all the nooks and crannies and different corners of it, you'll see there's little icons everywhere. Explore them, have a look at them. It won't execute anything unless you tell it to. So even by pressing it, you will have to confirm the execution. So have a look at that. But as long as both names, to answer your question, Rashid, if both names are on there, then there's nothing to worry about. If you are concerned, delete the profile and re-invite back in. It'll literally take 12 hours to go through. We had a lot of individuals today had problems with biometric, the BRP, the biometric residency permits. Alhamdulillah, they've been clarified and they've been verified within a few hours as well. So don't be worried. Things are moving very, very quickly in terms of verifications.
I've just had a message come through from our friends at the ministry. They are keen to welcome families for Hajj this year, as much as they have in previous years, more so this year as well. So, if you're contemplating going for Hajj this year, next year, it's welcome to you all as well. I mentioned this on my profile, but I've had a question come through that somebody registered in December 23 on Nusuk and still waiting for verification. Just to understand that the verification process only started 2 or 3 weeks ago. So they are sifting through in a rapid speed now to make sure everyone's verified. If you are concerned, what you can do is go into your Nusuk profile, type in edit, as if you're editing your profile again, maybe upload the passport photo or change a particular name and re-edit it and send it back again. It'll set the verification process off again. So hopefully it'll speed things up. Worst case, delete your profile, reapply, and inshallah you'll get it done as soon as possible.
Another thing to add to that, Rashid, as well, these are again the little tips and tricks. The first initial upload that you do, that is applied to OCR, that will be OCR activated. So if you're still in the queue, as Rashid just said, if you do it again, the next time it'll get picked up by a human and they will verify it pretty much straight away. And we've seen that so far when we've resubmitted BRPs for a lot of individuals. They've pretty much turned around very, very quickly. So I'm really not concerned in terms of the speed and the rate at which the verifications are coming through now. If you want to make a change, now is the time. Absolutely, now is the time if you want to make a change. The very, very important point is making sure your family configuration and arrangement is in order. Oh, one thing I need to add, Rashid, I've just recalled, it's a very, very important point, is a lot of you have been concerned in terms of, if I've got 5 members in my family, would I be able to get 2 rooms, 3 and 2? Yes, you will be. Until recently, until only about a couple of days ago, it wasn't the case, but due to demand, Nusuk have reviewed it and they've obviously communicated with the providers, and inshallah, there will be the facility where you could select exactly what type of room configurations that you want. So that is a good addition to what we already had before, inshallah.
Okay, so just a point to note here that all applications are actually verified by OCR and manually by the team as well. So the most important thing is data accuracy in respect to that. And coming back to deleting families and adding families, you can actually invite each other. So you don't need to necessarily delete the profiles. So if you're a family member who's already got the profile verified, earlier I mentioned that you need to delete. You don't need to delete. You can apply for invite each other. However, you'll have a master profile who will be responsible for the payment or the packages in the end anyway. So you don't need to delete, add family member, you can add each other that way. And on that note, Sohail, and we discussed this earlier as well, what would you recommend people using multiple payment methods when it comes to family payments, cards, bank accounts? What do you say to that?
Okay, so there's two things here. Multiple payments are okay. So you could use your card 10 times to pay to top up your wallet. Now, why would you want to use it 10 times? Because you might have a limit on your card of how much you could use or top up with. So one thing to bear in mind, if you're going to do it multiple times, at specific points, your bank will flag it up and they might actually stop that transaction and ask for a security check beforehand. If you've got two-factor authentication, then inshallah shouldn't be a problem. But even then, if your account has habits and suddenly that account has suddenly started making a lot of transactions, it will get flagged up. So one, you can use your card multiple times, but make sure you inform your bank. Now, the second point is, can you use multiple cards? Yes, you can. Nusuk will allow that. But as a matter of pertinence and a matter of good housekeeping and keeping it, as I call it, tidy, try and use the one account associated with the lead profile holder. If you all need to get together and transfer money into that account and that person then pays for it, that will put you in good stead, because in terms of refunds and recouping your funds, if there's any excess funds in there, it will be a lot easier rather than Nusuk trying to target 5 different cardholders and making payments there. And also the fact that the names don't match. I'm not saying this will happen. Yeah, I'm not saying this will happen, but it's good practice.
Just on the refunds will go to the same payment method used to top up your wallet. But note there's a 1.5% charge for any refunds that will be administered. And then you've also got to connect with the foreign exchange rate at that particular time as well. And
we've seen a few disputes as well.
Sorry, quickly finish on that.
We've seen a few disputes. A lot of Hajjaj been saying, why the charge? Why the charge? Why 1.5%? Please remember, the 1.5% charge has got nothing to do with Nusuk. It's actually the merchant bank, Al Raji Bank, are applying those charges for the variations in exchange rates and the variation in fees either side. So all they're doing is charging you back of what it would cost to send you your money back. So do bear that in mind.
Perfect. So one of the other questions is how can I top up the e-wallet without knowing the price of a package? What should I be doing at this stage? Which is
that? Yeah, so let's just give you an example on this, because obviously we've answered this question so many times on text, and I've even dropped an audio in a few channels as well. Let's give you an example. Suppose you saw last year's package and it was £7,000. You were going to go last year, you didn't make it for whatever reason, and the package was £7,000. Okay, you know that something in that ballpark is going to be available this year. Inshallah, there will be. So you know for a fact £7,000 is absolutely minimum. What we have said, again, from historical reasons and for what we've known in the past, there's always a certain degree of inflation, a little bit of an increase in price for whatever reason. So we normally say it's between 5 and 10% increase year on year for Hajj. And we've seen that by fact. So if, for example, you had your package at £7,000, you want to stick to that budget and allow for another, 5 to 10% on that. So, another 5-10% on top of that is what you need to have as a minimum in your e-wallet. When the packages get released, when the prices get released, you'll have enough time for you to be able to top up the shortfall. That's the easiest way and the most safe and a foolproof way of making sure you've got enough funds and you've not overtopped it, where you then fall into the category of asking for refunds. So that would be the most sensible. If I was to be doing that, that's the approach I would take. And I think we've agreed as a consensus between all the other guides that way works the best. Inshallah, stick to that.
Got a question here. My family is traveling from the UK and my sister's traveling to Hajj from the US. Is it possible to combine the package and can perform the Hajj together? Yes, you can. Packages will appear for all countries this year. So you can have family members from different countries performing Hajj together. I have another question here. I'm a 65-year-old female, first time to apply for Hajj. Do I need a mahram? And how can I join a group? Well, the Saudi authorities removed the need for a mahram, and it's easy for sisters now to perform Hajj. So you can, and all you need to do is contact one of the service providers in advance, or you can go and buy a package, and you'll be grouped together with other sisters and be sharing a room. You won't have an individual room to yourself, you'll be sharing a room with other sisters as well. How can I register as a couple family? I think we've covered that. once I go through this, should people pay towards the e-wallet? I think we should start to test the system just to make sure your bank or the card is working. So you get a feel of when packages are released, that you can top up very quickly. Just note that the bank transfers are going to take between 3 and 5 days, if not more. And if there is an issue, the bank may not necessarily tell you, and they'll just show us the money's gone, but it could be sitting in a void somewhere. So alert your bank before you make any payments. Cards tend to be a little bit easier at the moment. When does registration close? $1 million question. At the moment, it's open. So our advice is that if you are planning to go for Hajj, go and register. I guess registration will close as soon as all the packages are sold. However, I'm sure the ministry are keen to close this as soon as possible, especially with Ramadan just around the corner, and eagerly, waiting for Hajj who want to book and get this done as soon as possible. How much money should we prepare for Hajj package and for spending, Sohail?
I think we've got bigger fish to fry before then, to be quite honest with you. Yeah, it's up to an individual when it comes to spending money. At the moment, my advice is just focus on your package, focus on what funds are needed for that. Inshallah, once that's been done, we'll have plenty of time to talk about the traveling habits of the Hujjaj later on, inshallah. Like I said, we're going through a timeline, and at the moment is the verification e-wallet timeline. There'll be the rucksack timeline, there'll be the slippers timeline, and there'll be the energy tablets timeline, there'll be the power bank timeline. There's plenty of timelines that'll come later on, but for now, inshallah, let's just focus on your verifications. Let's focus on how to top up your e-wallet and making sure you've got adequate funds in readiness for the packages to be launched, inshallah.
A question that's coming: can my wife, who is on a spouse visa, go to Hajj? Yes, they can.
Wife on a spouse, yeah. As long as you've got identification or residency permit, we call it, then there won't be any problem. In terms of the residency permits, a lot of the residency permits are due to expire in December 2024. So a lot of the residency permits, a lot of the Hujjaj are getting error messages that your permit is due to expire. Actually, that's caused a lot of alarm today. So what I've advised the Hujjaj to do is, your BRP card, the residency card, scan the front and the back onto one sheet. So it's basically, obviously, the required size, the 800 by your 400. Make sure both the front and the back are scanned onto that document. Or you can use your normal editing software to do that and send that. I had a brother who did that this afternoon, and within the hour, he got verification on his BRP, and he was absolutely distraught and distressed that what's happened, what am I going to do? But alhamdulillah, just keep calm, try everything. There is automation there, but there's a human sitting there as well. Inshallah, it will go.
The question from Sister Arzu, we mentioned that she'll be traveling for Hajj for the first time with an elderly father, and he does need facilities. What facilities are available for those with disabilities, etc., in Mecca, Medina, and then more so in the days of Hajj? Well, there are facilities out there, but before you even get to Mecca, Medina, if you look on Nusuk, and when you apply for your verification and register on Nusuk, there's a section at the end which asks about your health conditions and your particular needs. Now, that makes it easier for the service providers to then see if they can cater for you within the package or provide it as an additional service. My advice is that you check with them before you book a package, that your health conditions, your health needs, your practical needs are all met. And don't just rely on sending your parents out for Hajj on their own, assuming somebody will look after them. There's 2+ million people out there performing the same rituals at the same time. It's a city that's going to be very, very busy and challenging, and it will test everyone at that point. As much as people will help each other, there's so much they can do. So if you are investing all this money and effort into sending your parents for Hajj, you may consider one of the siblings or a few of you to actually go and do khidmah and be part of serving them as well, not only as a reward, but also fulfilling your obligation for Hajj as well. And you'll get that reward. But again, check with the service providers. There are facilities in Mina, disabled toilets, but they do get busy. Similarly, in the forecourts of Haram in Mecca and Medina as well. Do you advise taking wheelchairs if required? Sohail?
Yeah, if you want to take your wheelchairs, you can do. Simply because, why would you take your own wheelchair? Simply because the user is adapted or used to that wheelchair. However, if you feel that it's not the best thing to take the normal wheelchair what they use here, plenty of wheelchairs are available to buy over there. They start as little as £70, anything up to £150, depending on the type of a wheelchair, which can be donated, or you could bring it back home if you wish. So yeah, wheelchairs are available in the plenty. Also, just to add to what Rashid Bhai said a short while ago, if you take your PIP document from the social services, and if you take your blue badge with you, then you could make use of the scooters, the mobility scooters that are dotted around the Haram, and there's again hundreds and hundreds of them. A lot of Hujjaj have been concerned about health and performing Umrah in a busy period and performing Sa'i in the busy period. If you've got the two-seater mobility scooters as well, so you could have the driver and the passenger, and with that you could perform. If you've got the blue badge, there's no cost at all. You can, if you don't have a blue badge, you just pay. But if you've got the blue badge, take it with you, and you'll be able to get a free scooter with which you'll be able to perform your tawaf and then cross the little gully and perform Sa'i. And we've done that actually in a busy period, and it took us an hour and a half. Just for kicks, we did that actually.
Mario Karts.
Yes.
We have a brother here who's asking, do we need to put money in the wallet before selecting the package?
Absolutely, you do.
Once the package are released, you'll get an idea of how much it's going to cost. You need to ensure your funds ready and your e-wallet topped up. So the process will be, moving forward from stage 7, which we mentioned earlier, that packages will be shown on Nusuk for you to view over a period of a week, maybe 2 weeks. And it's at that time where you can compare packages with the different service providers. After that, the sales period will start. So it's not a lottery system, as some are commenting on social media and elsewhere. It is strictly a first-come, first-served basis. So you need to make sure you have the funds, they're transferred into your wallet, and when the sales period starts, you're able to make that payment without any hesitation. This year, it is a little bit more smoother because you topped up the wallet, all of that headache of transferring, whether funds are topped up or not, etc., are done before you make the payment and packages are up for sale. So
also, Rashid, I've been reading in between the lines as well with a lot of the Hujjaj, and when they're asking a certain question in a certain context, in a certain manner, you could just read it between the lines, because we've experienced those situations so many times. And I know a lot of you want to sit on your hands for the time being, and a lot of you want to just test the waters, see what it's all about. Let's get the packages released first. Let's get the prices released first, and then let's top up. What if there's a complication? What if there's an issue with the portal? What if there's an issue with the e-wallet? It's a new system this year. Whilst Alhamdulillah is working fine at the moment, you can't tempt fate. What if at that point you want to top up your e-wallet and there's a downtime on there and the packages are, you know, selling like hotcakes, and literally will be selling like hotcakes? I have to be honest with you there. You do not want to put yourself in a position where you're frantically running around trying to deposit money into your wallet when you could have easily done that. Nobody's asking you to put 10, 20, 30,000 pounds. At least put some funds in there so you've got a feel of it, and then closer to the time, maybe over a day or 2, 3 days, you could just top it up. This is very, very important. The last thing we want to do at that point is say to everybody, we told you so. You have got so much time, and you look back in hindsight, it's the 6th of February, and you'll have plenty of time to the stage where bookings will open, and you'll be able to book the packages. But what you don't want to do is just sit and watch everybody else go through the notions of it now, and then you find yourself in a position, I should have done it when I had the chance. So don't chance it. Just whilst it's there, nobody's asking you to put all the money in there at the moment, but at least start warming your wallet up, trying to slowly drip feed your wallet and get it to where it needs to be, or at least in the ballpark, inshallah.
Adam's asking that he's created 2 separate profiles for him and his wife, and then combine them later. If you manage to do that, there's no issue. You'll be traveling as a family, inshallah, when the packages are released. If you haven't, and you created individual profiles, as I mentioned earlier, just add each other or one of your requests to add the family member in, or family members, and then you group together as a family. It is possible for people to travel from different countries as families and book the same package. I'm just trying to filter through some of the quick questions as well. What currency are we charged in? Sohail?
Saudi Arabian Riyals. You're not going to be charged pounds if you go to Cairo, are you?
Fair point. Does Nusuk accept Amex? I don't think they do.
They don't. No. Chase was a problem last year as well. It started well, and then there was a bit of an issue. It started working, there was a bit of an issue as well, so we stopped advising Chase last year. Amex says no, they won't honor anything. And going back to my little joke earlier, the prices will be in pounds. It will be in pounds, but it will then be converted into riyals.
Saudi riyals, yes. I think we're coming to the end of the webinar. I'm just going to quickly see if we've got any people with hands in the air that want to talk. And if you've got any questions, I can see all the hands going up now. We'll start with Fatima. You're at the top of the list. I'm going to ask you to ask your question, if that's okay.
How about that sister who was right at the start? There was a sister right at the start. I think we've lost her.
We've lost her, yeah. Put your hand up again and we'll bring you back in, inshallah. Fatima, I'm just going to ask you to unmute. Fatima Ismail, that is. Do you want to ask your question?
She's still muted.
Yeah.
Unmute. Sister Fatima, can you unmute your mic, please?
Okay, we'll move down the list. Aisha Patel. Sister Aisha.
It's not wait, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
It's not Aisha, it's her husband instead. She's a bit shy.
Absolutely fine.
Okay.
Absolutely fine. We get stage fright as well.
One question. The UK quota was it's 3,600 roughly from previously was what 25,000. Does that 3,600 get filled instantly, or does it happen gradually over a period of time? Because the last thing you want is you pick a package, you've had a week or 2 weeks to pick one, you've now opened up, you've gone and picked that one straight away because you think that's the best one, and then circumstances make you think, hold up, maybe I should have gone with this one or that one. So instead of just rushing to it, of course 2 weeks is a long period of time, but for some people who might need more than 2 weeks, should they still wait out, or should they be ready by the time the payment process opens?
Be ready. The 3,600 quota is going to get filled up very quickly. If all the available packages are there and it suits people's travel needs, etc. Remember, we've got a backlog since COVID of people wanting to go for Hajj. A quota from 25,000 went down to 3,600. If nobody did anything, that 3,600 will get filled up. So don't be
hesitant and yeah.
Or waiting. You've made your intention for Hajj. That's it. This is to please Allah, first and foremost, to complete your 5th pillar of your faith. So what's the hesitation? Bismillah, believe in it, then go for it. But we are hopeful that if these quotas do get sold out in what is called the first phase, that the reallocation of any other quotas from the other countries, then we should get a little bit more later on, inshallah.
Perfect. Jazakallah.
Brother Faisal, I'm going to ask you to come in. Faisal Altab.
So,
So,
I just wanted a bit of clarity around passport expiration and dates. So both my parents, inshallah, would want to go this year. They're not British nationals, but they have sent their passports off for renewal. Unfortunately, it's going to take 40 days to come back, but they have submitted the online application with the existing passports. Would they be able to travel on the new if they carry both sets with them?
I'll answer that quickly, and then you can chip in as well. They can update the passports later as well. So if you've got the existing passport, just get the submission in. Don't worry about tomorrow, there'll be opportunities to update certain aspects before you make the payment and before you... but just note this, that once the visa is issued, there's no going back for refunds or anything. That's it. There's a point of no return. Once that visa is issued, whether you travel to Hajj or you don't, for whatever reason, that's it. Your booking's gone. So be absolutely firm that this is no joke. This is a serious matter now. And then, for whatever reason, if something was to happen, tawakkal to Allah. But you do need to check with your travel insurance, etc., whether they would cover you in such circumstances as well.
So if we were to wait almost to the last minute, and if the passports, inshallah, did arrive in time, then it would be fine. But if they didn't, can we de-link them from the family account? Because there's a few other people that are also willing to or will be traveling at the same time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you. Shahad Mohammed. Okay. Do you want to speak? You're unmuted. Okay, we'll bring in Moeen.
Hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now, Shahad. Yeah, fire away. Okay, Moeen, do you want to come in?
Assalamu alaikum, can you hear me?
Salam, yes, we can hear you.
I just wanted to know is how much importance is there on the relation of the person when you add them as a member? So I've added my father and I've added my wife, and my brother said he wants to come along with his wife. So I have an option of brother, but there's no option of sister-in-law. So if I add her as a sister, will that then invalidate if she's not my sister? Or what's the best thing? Shall I make my dad the main person and then change everyone else's? What shall I do?
So do you want to go for that?
Yeah, absolutely. Technically, she is your sister, and if you generally travel together, to be honest with you, I think along a few different lines when I answer this question. You can put her down as your sister; it's fine. But then, in terms of fiqh as well, you want to, make sure that you're okay all sharing a room as well. A lot of individuals might not be comfortable even outside their extended, not outside the immediate family, sharing with another family member. Nusuk,
No, this is primarily for adding her onto the application. In terms of
yeah,
sharing,
that's,
change.
Yeah,
no, that's fine. Of course, there's nothing wrong with that at all. You could add her onto your profile. There's nothing wrong with that at all.
Okay.
What you can do, Moeen, as we mentioned earlier, add all the family members together, but then when you come to room selection, is ensure that you've got your mahram, non-mahram issues sorted amongst yourselves. Perhaps even put all the women in one room, men in the other, or husband wife together, and the rest of the mahram issues sorted out as well.
Yeah, this is mainly for the application. I don't want it to be void and say that's not really your sister.
Absolutely. Okay, brother. Thank you for your question. Brother Pervez. I'll bring Pervez and then Javed Sheikh in next. Brother Javed.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalam.
We have a question that we transferred from our HSBC global account £20 via bank transfer using IBAN number. But now for remaining amount of the package, example, for 3 of us is 30,000. Can we use the same account? What do you call the what do you call the card? Will it be easier if I use the same global account card for transferring the money, so it can be quickly transferred? As you said, the bank cards are quicker than the IBAN number using. Do you understand my question? First,
you're combining the two. You're combining the two. A debit payment or a card payment is a different process to the transfer. So if you've done one little part by bank transfer, but you'd rather now switch to card payment, yeah, that's absolutely fine. You could use whichever way you want to top up your wallet.
Yeah, I can check, because now I'm thinking after listening to you guys that because the card payments are much quicker.
Yeah.
So what
but
I will
also bear in mind your card payment, HSBC will have a 2.99% transaction charge, and also you need to make sure with HSBC Global, make sure what the exchange rates is, because you might find that the bank transfer rate might be better than the debit or card payment rate as well. So those are the two things you need to check with your bank.
Well, I did check with the Global. There's no fees at all for the transferring money.
Brilliant. Go for that.
Global.
Absolutely,
so that's why I transferred both of my. I transferred £20 twice.
No problem. Thank you for your question.
Inshallah, fine with that.
I'm going to quickly bring in Sister Sabiha.
Assalamu alaikum. My question is, how many packages are available altogether between the 10 service providers in conjunction with a UK quota of 3,600? And based on your experience from last 2 years, how quickly do the packages get sold once the booking system go live?
Go on, Sohail.
Sabiha, I don't think you've been listening to our webinar, have you? Right?
I have, but I've still got the question.
It's literally like, if you want me to put it in lay terms, it's like hotcakes. If last year is anything to go by, packages there will be an absolute influx of sales of packages. So they will, so going back to what Rashid Bhai said earlier, the UK quota is 3,600 of the first phase. After that, if there's still package capacity available, and if there is visas spilling over from the other European countries, which will then be pooled, and then they'll be bidding for those, then they might get passed on to the UK. So, for example, last year, our quota was 3,600, but actually just over 4,000 went. So you see that the quota can be increased by not drastic amounts. So at least...
I've just had a message from Abdullah from the ministry. They're saying they will do their best to accommodate the high demand, and most likely seats will be added later stage. So, we've got the guy from the ministry in this call at the moment, in this webinar. They're listening to your concerns. They're listening to the demand. They're listening to what's the best way to accommodate these high numbers and the demand. So, inshallah, we have the full confidence that they are working hard and will work hard to try and accommodate as well, inshallah. But we have to do and be prepared ourselves. Don't expect that, somebody's going to come and take you and that's it. You have to make the effort as well. Thank you, Sister Sabiha. Just going to quickly bring in Nasif.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Just a quick question with regards to the room sharing. So I know historically when people have gone to Hajj, they've shared rooms with other pilgrims. Is that going to be the case as well this year? Say, for example, it was just me and my wife going. Would we be split apart during the duration of Hajj, or would we be put together?
So, in essence, when you buy a package on Nusuk, you're actually buying a bed, and it's not a room.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it's up to the guide then to accommodate. I had a group, there was a group of around 50, all couples, and they all got a room each, so it was very easy configuration. Whereas those where we had 3s and 4s, and they were a little bit hard to deal with. So in most cases, 99.99%, the service providers will do their utmost best to try and accommodate your needs. But understand this from the offset, that the package is not a package as such, it's a bed that you're buying, a package for individual Haji.
Okay.
The way that the quotas divided, males, females, accommodation, there's only a finite area in Makkah, Medina, in Mashair, in the tent cities. Mina, etc. So, you know, they try and accommodate it based on heads as opposed to couples and families. Hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. And just to quickly ask one more. You have answered it before. I just want to reiterate it. So, with regards to buying packages, you are indeed topping up the e-wallet first and then purchasing the package. You don't just purchase the package directly from your bank account. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Jazakallah.
You can also, and I strongly advise you to read the room type and the configuration and all the different information that's listed on the Nusuk website before you even purchase. They've gone through a lot of detail in, you know, highlighting what these packages mean, how bed allocations, etc. as well. So please do take a read at that. Don't just rely on what you hear in WhatsApp groups, etc. Obviously, we're here to guide you. The guides will do their part. The service providers will do theirs. But ultimately, you need to understand how the system works as well. And if you're unclear, ask. There's no harm in that. Habiba, can I bring you in? What's your question? Assalamu alaikum. Sister Habiba. Okay, we'll move on to Muhammad Malik. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Muhammad.
Wa alaikum salam wa barakatuh. I've got two questions, please. The first one is a quick one with regards to the topping up of the e-wallet. Can we use any foreign account? I'm a UK resident. Can we use any foreign account? Because I have tried and it has worked, but I just would like to know from yourselves if there's been any experience that would lead you to advise against that.
That's absolutely fine. You could use any account that's allowing you to transfer the funds across. But again, taking backward steps as well, in the event of a refund, just want to make sure that those bank details marry up with the address with what Nusuk have in terms of the banking aspects of things. So yeah, there shouldn't be a problem, inshallah.
I think two more questions, and what we'll do is ask people to just put it on our Telegram or WhatsApp and email us across. Inshallah, we'll try and get as much covered. This is one of many webinars and events that we'll be hosting in the run-up to Hajj. And so if we can't answer your questions this evening, we sincerely apologize. But a lot of it will be covered in the off-air or offline channels anyway. You can contact us on our socials, on our email as well. One question from Fatima, then Imran, and then we'll conclude, inshallah. Sister Fatima. Okay, we'll give way to Naima.
Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me?
Islam, we can hear you.
Salam, yes.
Yeah. My question is, this is my first time going on Hajj, and I don't have any idea how the packages were last year. Are there any examples or website where I can see what kind of packages were there last year, so I would be prepared for this year?
Yeah, personally, I wouldn't look into that at this stage. You're going to get a window of a week or 2 weeks where packages are released for you to then compare apples with apples. What you will be comparing at the moment will be apple and pears. This year's system setup is different to what it was last year. They've standardized the packages. So you have standard, premium, luxury. And within that, you have the different suppliers. We don't know how many different options they'll be coming back with. So my advice at the moment is hold fire, have funds ready, depending on, or approximation, £10,000, perhaps, I don't know. But don't start to look into stuff at the moment which isn't been released, because you're then having to go back and compare. And there is going to be a slight price increase. We know that. Global inflation, cost of fuel, etc., VAT, there's a lot of other excuses behind it. But for your own sanity at the moment, probably not advisable.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I did ask Brother Imran Mirza.
Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me?
Salam, we can hear you.
Yeah, I think you have already answered my question, but I need some further clarification. My mom and my sister is a US citizen. They are in US, and myself and my wife is traveling from UK. We are British. So I've created two different profiles. Both are got verified. And but I would like to take my mom along with me, so that we all go together, the four people together, and perform Hajj and stay together, basically. Is there anything possibility?
Sohail?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that is a possibility. So what you mean is your mum is in America, will be coming over to the UK. Is that what you said?
Well, either they come to UK or whether I go to US. But obviously, we
Either
have
way.
two different passports. Yeah.
Nusuk will allow you to book your individual flights. So you could select a package without the flights, and then you will be responsible to make your own way and meet up with the package details or the itinerary. So yes, to answer your question, you will be able to fly from different countries and choose select your own flight. So if the flight criteria doesn't meet your travel criteria on Nusuk, then you will be able to arrange your own flights. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Great.
Salam.
Thank you for that. So just to come back on the point, the question asked earlier about different family members flying in from different countries. Yes, it will be possible for you to book that same package, but understand that the travel itinerary will differ. So somebody coming from the States will have to obviously take their flights from the States, etc. They may not necessarily fly in from the UK unless you happen to have them here and then fly onwards, so to speak. But it has to be the same package. We've got a question come in. Actually, this is one for CBH UK provided competent Hajj guides last year. Are there any plans to do the same this year? And if so, which Hajj service provider will you be working with? Well, this is just hot topic and hot news off the shelf today, which I'm more than happy to share with you this evening. That inshallah, we will have Hajj guides on the ground this year. And if I can quickly share my screen. I'm proud to announce that we will be working with Ithra Al Khair this year. So we've done a lot of due diligence behind this. It's a very reputable company. They serve over 200,000 Hujjaj, namely the non-Arab countries. So they're well familiar with dealing with international pilgrims, but more so they deal with the Bats al-Hajj or the Hajj missions of Nigeria, of South Africa. The South African Hajj and Umrah Council are good friends of ours, and we communicate regularly. And we've seen these set up as well. So we're confident that Ithra Al Khair will be as good as Al Bayt and Al Raji and all the other companies out there, if not better. So inshallah, you'll see our guides there. And if you want any more information, Ithra Al Khair will be hosting their introduction webinar. So just stay in tune with their messages regarding that very soon. And if you need any information or support from us at Hajj Guides, do contact us using the social media handles there or info@hajguides.org, inshallah. And on that note, Sohail, any last few comments you want to add?
No, Jazakumullah for your time, everybody, and Jazakumullah for inviting me. And I wish you all the very best, inshallah, in your preparations for Hajj. Allah make it easy for you all. We're always at hand if you have any questions or any queries or anything that you'd like us to go in, please feel free to just send in your requests.
Yeah, thank you, Sohail, for your valuable input. Inshallah, we've got first of many that we've done, and we'll be on the ground as well into the community. So thank you, Sohail, for your contribution this evening, and a special thanks and appreciation to Mr. Abdullah Jad Kareem from the Ministry of Hajj, who's heading the whole Nusuk system and the delivery of the Direct Hajj initiative. He's been listening in and providing us live commentary and answers to your questions as well this evening. So Jazakallah khair, and inshallah we'll see you again soon, no doubt, in another webinar. May Allah accept us all for Hajj this year, and we'll see you soon. Assalamu alaikum.